Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we'll be doing the Fremantle and Port Adelaide pre-season game review, and we'll go through all the key players and how they've done, how their roles look, and see if they're really an option still. And we also got to remember not to overreact to such games, as the time on ground will be lower, points will most likely be lower for some of these sort of up and coming players, as like midfielders. There's some more midfielders that they play and stuff, so some people get out of position time as well. So before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, as more content will be coming out quickly, as you can see with a couple of uploads yesterday, and there'll be continuous double uploads, I believe, now, as I try and quickly get through all these practice matches to get the content out to you guys. So now if we go onto this screen, I've got the stats up here, and we'll reference some other stuff as well in other tabs that I have here. So onto here, and Will Brodie, and this is positive signs, I reckon, because Will Brodie, 76% time on ground, 36 disposals, 4 marks, 6 tackles. That's pretty good. And considering if we go to here, and we go to Brodie, I should probably highlight him. If we go down to his 2022 stats, you'll see time on ground 70%, and I believe, if from memory, he had one. So he got one game. He's only got one game, as well as this Carlton game here. So 2 games where he's got more or equal time on ground than what he had in the practice game. So, not that screen. If we go back to here, and so this is very, very positive for Will Brodie. And he's someone that you could look in if you didn't want to go for the likes of Tom Mitchell. And I think if we look at the 83% time on ground, 77, the 76 here, he had the 117. So could he be up for a big score, like a big increase this year? Time will tell, I guess, but it's very, very positive news from Will Brodie's standpoint of 95 average. So we'll see if he can tick that up to 105 or so, but I don't know if he will be able to, but we'll just have to wait and see. If we tap out of that one, Sean Darcy, if we look here, Scott Lysette, I think he was even injured, or he just wasn't playing that well, and then they put Dixon and Teakle in the ruck, so he really didn't have a challenge in the ruck, and so 109. So, and he didn't have Luke Jackson playing as well there, so there's like 3 different negatives towards his score. So 109, I think that's pretty much going to be his almost top out score, so I wouldn't go for him. Brennan Cox, I think this is just a one-off without Luke Ryan there, and I think you'll see Hayden Young and Luke Ryan take up these more marking roles, as you see here. Cox and Clark took it up. So it was a little bit surprising to see such a low score from Hayden Young in terms of marks, and we'll get to that when we get down to him, but I think that it will return to what it did last year in terms of Luke Ryan and Hayden Young taking up those high mark totals. Brayshaw, again, just putting in a solid effort. I just think at 994, 995k, somewhere around there. What is he around that price? 995. That Oliver's probably the better option in that price range. And if I was to try and get a Fremantle guy in, I'd try and get Young or Brodie in beforehand. We look down here, Miles Bergman, another good score. I haven't looked much into him. So we look here, 21-year-old, he could take that step up, but I just think you'd be overreacting to a practice game where he got 80%, and I'm pretty sure from memory he got pretty good CBAs as well. Does it show it here? No, it doesn't. That would be a good stat to show. But yes, so I don't think he will do as well as what people think, and I think you have to look at the teams and see the power. Did they have Butters? Yeah, they did. And Butters, I don't think, played that much. Did they have Wines and Boak? There was no Boak. Wines, 73% time on ground, so you can take his, I guess he didn't play as much. So I think you'll see, and Horne-Francis 80%. So Horne-Francis might turn into an actual good option here. It might be that it's tough because there's 4 or 5 good mid-forward guides that are really really expensive. So you really need to find a guy that's around that 400k to 500k region, and Horne-Francis is just too expensive. So he's not an option for me in that sense. Rozee, doing Rozee things. He just needs to average. Honestly, he's going to be a top 6 forward either way, even with the inclusion of the dual position players over the year. So I think just take 100 from him, and he'll have scores like this consistently. He didn't get a goal, but yeah, that's pretty good. That's the type of output you're looking for. Pretty much all your players that are not like Oliver, etc. All the guys that you just want to average 105, you want 25, 10 to 15 of each handball kicks, and then 5 marks, 5 tackles, somewhere around that region, and you get towards that 100 score. Caleb Sarong, another guy, great scoring output. Were they missing anyone in the midfield? If I look at the lineups, Fremantle, Caleb Sarong playing a half forward. I doubt that actually happened. I think you'll see actually that Sarong and Fife sort of swapped around a little bit. And from memory, it doesn't look like they had many players out. So maybe that Sarong score is where it's supposed to be at, and what you'd like to see is time on ground just improve by 4 or 5%, as that will pretty much guarantee with his points per minute that type of scoring. Dersma, a good score, but if I look here, Dersma, 2.2% owned. I don't think he's going to take that step up, especially with Wines back to his best. If we look at 2022, Port Adelaide, we'll see here if was he anywhere around here? I don't believe he was. So, take it with, I guess, a pinch of salt. That I think he's more playing that wingman role, and I think those scores, wingmen are very hard to have in fantasy, especially if they're not getting any CBAs, because they have such inconsistent scoring in that some games they'll have 8 marks here, and then some games they have 4 marks and they just cannot get on the footy. Jordan Clark, a guy that probably can start to get close to that watch list. Ollie Wines, a good scorer on 73% time on ground. He looks to be back at his best. No Brownlow after year fade off for him now that it's second year, so that's good. O'Meara, I'm actually surprised he's gonna put this output up of, what is that, 1.3, 1.4 points per minute, and points per time on ground percentage, and that's pretty good output. Fife, again, I don't think you can say he's going to consistently kick 3 goals, so that pretty much, he's going to probably kick 1.5, 2 goals, but 3 goals, 2, that's 20 points worth of scoring. I think he'll score 6 to 8 less points in goals and behinds. Then he'll get 2 or 3 less disposals. He had 6 marks in the end, which is pretty good. Then you come to Horne-Francis, 81. He's priced at what? If we go to here, Horne-Francis, he's priced at 62. You probably need him to hit 81 consistently, almost like an 80, 78 bottom out score. So that's sort of, he's there and thereabouts, but I don't think he's done enough to really leapfrog into big contention. Will Giroux, not much to... He did really well because he got 8 tackles, but if we look here, Drew, 657k, 74 average. Like, he basically did his average, so meh. Nathan Wilson, 72. You're starting to get to all these guys here, really. If I look at Ethan Hughes, because I don't remember. Ethan Hughes, 470k. So he's going to be priced at around 53, 54 for a 66. Not enough upside there. Heath Chapman had a bad game. Schultz, 63. Banfield, 63. Aish, 61. Aish probably is the one to drop down now this year for the Fremantle, as obviously scoring seems to be decreasing by about 1 to 2% per year. And if so many people are increasing in output, some players have to decrease, and I think James Aish might be the one. Palpepper, Butters, just not consistent enough. 60. Burton, 59. Pearce, I think Pearce, this is a good game for him in total, and that he will have, because he really started off well. It was at like 40 or something at halftime, 45 at halftime, and then just stopped. Still Sturt, 56, just 2 goals there. That's the reason why. Hen Young, 55, and I was shocked about this to see him at 55. You know, I think that's just a blip, as time on ground was a little bit low, and I think 10% more time on ground, he gets another two marks, so that's another 67 there. Plus, also he just didn't have Ryan there to get those friendly kickouts. And then you're starting to get to all these guys down here that just are not fantasy relevant. And then you got Scott Lysett. And for all the people out there that thought Scott Lysett would be a good option, there you go. He is not going to be a good option. And 45 pretty much takes him out of all teams. If we look at him now, I wonder what his ownership is. 3%. I'm sure it was at like 8 or 9% with people during the preseason. And now it's just dropped, as it rightly should. And so then, yeah, there's not much else to talk about here. And I guess the only thing really to take note of here is that a lot of these guys down the bottom here could potentially get a round 1 debut, and you just got to quickly put them in your team if that is the case. So if I go back to the main screen, that's my review of the Fremantle Dockers and the Port Adelaide practice match, or preseason practice match, in which Fremantle came out on top 92-61. If you want to watch other videos, there'll be playlists, as well as a playlist up in one of the corners for the other. I'm going to create a playlist for the practice matches, so it should be a playlist of 9 or so matches. And then there'll be the other AFL fantasy content and the team reviews as well. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.